Welcome into your NBL Now for your Wednesday morning, and it's been a week overdue, I believe, for our regular correspondent in Bryce Cotton back, who joins me for the Wednesday morning. Bryce, firstly, it's great to see you, and I'm wondering, as is everybody, how are you feeling, man?
Yeah. Well, one, it's good to see you again, but yeah, I'm still feeling it a lot better than I guess when the injury first happened, but got a little bit of ways to go. But yeah, I guess I just got to keep being patient and listening to my body.
When it first happened, a lot of people were like, okay, when's Bryce back? Exactly what is the date? But JR was talking about it, you were talking about it. It was one of those injuries, one of those incidents where there really is no set date, is there? It's just about how your body recovers and how you feel day to day.
Yeah. But basically the way it was explained is, it's such a rare injury. There's not a big sample size for, I guess, looking at studies of this injury and how long it takes. So based off my mind, I'm trying to get back as quick as I can. But on the other side, I'm still trying to listen to my body and making sure whenever I'm back out there, I actually feel comfortable on the floor to beat me and to take hits because, of course, we know I'm going to get hit a lot. So it's different things I got to factor in.
Is it safe to say that all going well, we will see you back on the floor by the end of this calendar year? By late December, like there will be a world where we should see Bryce Cotton back in by then.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would say so.
That's what we want to hear. And in the meantime, though, we talked about what would a Bryce Cottonless Perth Wildcats look like. I mean, barring Sunday, which looked tired at times and some injuries as well. Dylan Windler didn't play, but the young guys getting opportunities, it's been fun to kind of watch, to see them step up to the plate. What was it like for you sitting there on Friday night? And let's talk about it. Benny Henshall's first half, he continues to get better with every opportunity.
Yeah, it was amazing. Honestly, like anything we threw up that first half, it just seemed like it was falling. And with Henny in particular, anytime Illawarra would go on a big run, start to close the gap, he'd hit some crazy step back three or whatever. And I think it was great for him. But more importantly, what was impressive to me is the fact that Henny had such a tough shoot tonight the game before that. And he comes back and takes pretty much the same shots that he took in the previous game, but he hit them and he kept us in the game for such a long span of time. So to me, that just shows a guy at such a young age, he's not rattled and he believes in himself, because a lot of people may not have taken those same shots. But he did that, and he got a different and favorable result. So if he stays with that mentality, man, the sky's truly the limit for him.
21 points in the first half. Usually, if you're wearing a Perth Wildcats jersey and you put up that number, it's you in it, and it's you that everyone just gets to sit back and watch. The fact that, one, you couldn't even be just getting in the rock. You had to sit there and watch as basically a fan. What did it feel like?
It felt cool, because I know that I know the work that Henny puts in. And just seeing him hit big shots, it really wasn't a surprise because, those are the same shots he'll take in practice. And it was just good to see it translate, because it's one thing to, play well in practice all the time and hit tough shots, but to do it in big and meaningful games, that's another thing. So I was super, super happy for him. And that was definitely exciting.
We've seen his name float around the draft boards at certain different moments in his very early professional career. The way that he plays and takes those opportunities, does it seem like when he inevitably, it's going to happen at some point, gets an NBA opportunity, whether that it is drafting, whether it's workouts as well, whether it is a summer league, I would envision he'll play an NBA summer league at some point in his career. His game, his ability to get a bucket is going to help him really stand out in those opportunities.
Oh, 100%. And, when you think about any of the other young guys that have gone from the NBL to the NBA, the majority of them, their game almost takes off higher to another level because, playing in the FIBA rules, there's so much clutter. But then when you're under the NBA rules, you got all that spacing. And with Henny's game, he's got a lot of finesse to him. He's got a lot of, just craftiness. So when he has, I guess, open space to operate in, I think he's going to continue to grow. And this time, while I've been out, I think it's been beneficial for him getting a little bit of extra defensive attention, just so he can pick up on reading and learning different schemes quicker. So it's only going to benefit him in the long run.
And when you're not out there, and again, you're watching practice, doing all this, watching teams around the league, Is it weird when you know you've got a couple weeks at least on the sideline when an injury first happened, where do you become a bit of a coach? Do you become a bit of a mentor? Are you just a student of the game? Are you just a regular teammate? What is it like when you know, look, I'm not going to be back next week, so things are a little different right now?
I think for me, basically, I would say more of a mentor if needed. So like if guys have any questions, mainly like the younger guys, I'm all ears for them, and I'm willing to give my advice there, but I'm not really barking stuff out if nobody asks, because that's just not my personality. But I've taken a little bit more of a, I guess, vocal approach probably the last 4 or 5 days or so. First week, it was just more so me processing the injury and how I'm going to get through it. But then once I was able to get out of my bubble, it's like, all right, how can I be there for the guys, because I still got some time before I'm back out there.
I do want to ask you this morning about Southeast Melbourne Phoenix in New Zealand, but I can't not wrap up this Perth chat without talking about Jesse Wagstaff, because the talk was the milestone games. He tied the record on Friday in front of a Red Army, and then officially has the record himself. It's pretty surreal to now look back on and think of everything he's done. You've been there basically half his career as well and witnessed it all.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was super happy for him. And I remember talking to him last year in the offseason, asking, is he going to come back and all that. I personally just kept telling him, like, Jesse, 11 games away. Got it. Can't be that close and just leave it to pass. So selfishly, I was happy Jesse came back, because I probably wanted that record for him more than he did. But, yeah.
Well, no pressure to you and the rest of the team, but all going to plan this year, and you get into some final series. 500's on the cards, Bryce. So there's no pressure there. That's a big milestone as well. I'm gonna put it. That's on you. Let's talk a little bit about the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, because I think your first episode or the second one, we talked about their struggles, and you mentioned how you've got new faces. It takes time to figure out. They've had a couple of new coaches, but they've won 4 of their last 5, one of the hottest teams in the league, and the vibe around them is all smiles. What have you seen that's impressed you so far?
I think just that. And, knowing, like we had talked about before, it's like the fork is in the road, and the team could take one of 2 directions. And 4 or 5 games, that's a pretty big sample size. We see the direction that they're taking, and the team decided to, stick together, and they're obviously clicking with the coach. So, of course, everybody's going to be all smiles when, new life is breathed into the season, and you see everything that you're fighting for, I guess, to start the year is still alive. Yeah, it's just going to be a whole lot more smiles. So it's good to see that their grit is starting to turn their season around. Unfortunately, it continued against us, but it's good to see that ball.
Normally when we talk about other teams and players, if there's leading scorers, and we'd be talking about you going up against them, that would have been you versus Matt Hurt. And Matt Hurt, he's fun to watch, and I don't know what it is about him, but he's just the way he carries on after some buckets. He says that he doesn't talk trash. I watched that game. He's talking trash, and you spoke about it. When you get in these moods, if someone says something, you can't help but just let the emotion out. But he's a fun guy to watch in this league so far this season.
He is, and he's staying consistent. I think that's the thing that's most impressive. He's not one of those guys where he has a really good game, and then he goes quiet for 2 or 3 weeks, and then he has an okay game again. Nah, like, he's the same person week in and week out. And, those are things that you respect. That's what you expect when you play in a great league like this. And when you're up against some of the better players, you get to see why this league has so much notoriety, because we got guys like that.
And you spoke about, I guess, the league as a whole, where there's no such thing as an easy game. And we've seen a couple of blowouts, especially this last round, but 4 weeks ago, that was the Phoenix on the other end of that. Now they're one of the hottest teams in the league. If you're not on song every single game, no matter what ladder position, you're going to get found out, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. And I think it's going to keep happening. There's going to be, okay, this is the hottest team in the league for the next few weeks, and then it's just going to keep bouncing around. Like, before the season's done, there's going to be at least 3 to 4 more hottest teams in the league. That's my hot take. Just seeing the trend of the league. So, it's pretty cool though. Like, I think when you look at it from that perspective, it's almost like, the seedings don't matter when it comes to a game-to-game basis. Like, any game could be a close game. It could go to either side. obviously you want the better seeds for playoffs, but from a seasonal standpoint, you might as well just scratch the seeds off, because any game it can go down to the wire.
I think there might be more than 3 or 4, so I'll back you on that hot take of yours. If we can get more hot takes out of Bryce Cotton,
there we go.
And that's all right. You talk about the hottest teams in the league right now. It's the Phoenix, yes, but the New Zealand Breakers. I mean, what they did over the weekend. I mean, you were over there when the injury first happened, and we also spoke about what we thought would be a challenge for them coming back from their travel overseas.
Mm-hmm.
That proves that I have no idea what I'm talking about, Bryce, because this New Zealand team is fun to watch. What has impressed you the most about what they've done so far?
Well, one, don't sell yourself short. It doesn't mean it wasn't a challenge for them. It just means they answered the bell. But I think the most important thing to me, looking at New Zealand, is expectations versus reality. And what I mean by that is they're rolling right now, and I'm not sure if they're number one in the league. I think they are, but nobody expected that going into the season based off the roster, based off the new coach, and based off everything. But yet, here they are. So I think that's what makes it impressive. And doubling down on that, you got the head of the snake and Cartwright. That's when you have to give people their flowers, have to counter in expectations versus reality. And I know in this league, they love and get married to the idea of best player on the best team is the MVP. That kind of fits the case at this point right now. But the way Parker's been playing, leading that team, it certainly helps that they're first. I would say if you had to stop the season right now, he's the MVP. But even if he was third, based off my criteria, because I don't believe in, best player on the number one team, he would still be the MVP based off his impact and what's expected of that team and where he's at them. So hats off to him and hats off to that team for how they've started so far.
I'm with you on that. And I think that I think what you're saying is spot on in the fact that if a team's maybe 8th, 9th, or 10th and they've got the best statistical player in the league and the most impactful, it's probably harder to vote for them.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of being just the best team in the league, having the best players, I don't think it should hold that much weight. Now, getting your thoughts on that as a 4-time MVP is fascinating because there is always going to be different talk that rolls around with it all. But as you said, right now, if the season did stop, it's PJC, isn't it?
To me, yeah. I think that's the only answer. There's other guys having great seasons, but, just based off my opinion and my criteria, it's PJC at this point in the season.
Is that the same that as a player, when you look at the way other awards are looked at and get some other narratives around it, statistics is one thing. Yes, it's going to help some people's case, but for the real great basketball minds, the people that see the game in a different light, there's so much more to say the defensive player of the year than who leads steals, who gets the most blocks. There's so much more to all of that. Yet the coach of the year is normally the one who's around the top. But again, we've seen in years past, if you finish bottom the year before and then get to the top 4, that's going to hold more weight than just whoever finishes top as well.
100%. And I just think, sometimes it's so hard. It's so hard to see sometimes with the narratives, like how they feel people are finalists for awards versus a player's perspective. Like I remember one year, I don't remember who got it, but Justin Simon was clearly the best defensive player in the league, and he wasn't even a finalist. And I was just like, okay, like, yeah, y'all got it. I'm done trying to figure out how you guys think.
I remember that year too. I think everybody thought that Waddy should win, and he wasn't even in the nominations in the end. And to be fair, if we're talking best defensive players in the year, whoever they are, I'm okay with also if we found out a way to go to the best offensive players in the year and ask who the biggest pest is they have to play against. Because I feel like you're going to know a lot more than some other people. And you've
Maybe
got to
just
try
a little bit, yeah. We might just know a little something.
Now, let's talk a little bit about the round coming up, because on Sunday there's some big games, but only a couple of teams have single headers, in particular the Adelaide 36ers and the Illawarra Hawks, who round out the round on Sunday night. 2 teams coming off losses, 2 teams who are up there in the standings as championship contenders. What are you expecting to see in this one?
A straight-up dogfight. Obviously, Illawarra has got themselves off to a great start to the season, and they don't want to have too much slippage to where they start to fall back to the middle of the pack. So they got some stuff to protect. And then Adelaide, they just they have a new sense of life about them, but they've kind of just had that throughout the whole season to start. So what a better way to prove they are who they think they are by beating, one of the premier teams in the league this season. So they both got equal things to fight for slightly different reasons, but they're playing with stuff to prove. So that should be a very fun match to watch.
Lastly, before I let you go, because Adelaide are coming off a pretty big loss in New Zealand, and this seems that in a year, and Melbourne's coming off a massive loss to New Zealand as well, is there certain games, maybe it's one or two for each team in the year, where you just kind of have to throw it out? Like, it can just be like, why did Adelaide lose? Well, it just could be one of those games in the season where just nothing went right for whatever reason. But it's not like we've just turned a corner going backwards. It's just, let's just write that one off and let's go back to what we do best next game.
Yeah, I think games like that happen. I think it's so rare that this is probably a season where every team in the league has one or two of those. Like, and it's not like, oh, they just played bad, they lost. Like, it'll be, a 25-point blowout. Like, I've never seen so many blowouts just randomly happen throughout the league, but yet all the teams are evenly balanced. So it's like, yeah, like you can study the game and look back all you want. It won't make sense. So it's like, yeah, you just got to throw it out as an anomaly. But I've never seen it happen this much to start a season. So it's pretty interesting.
It's always good because it means we can't pick who's going to be the winner, who's going to be in the finals, and that makes it always exciting. Bryce, thanks for coming back. Let's hope we see you on the floor pretty soon.
Yeah, cheers, man. You and me both.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Make sure you stay tuned to NBL Socials for all your content. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode of NBL Now.